So Erica reminded me, as I talked to her just a minute ago, about how we often don't give ourselves the chance to think about these questions, right? Yeah.
Erika me recordó que a veces que no nos damos el tiempo para preguntarnos o pensar de estas preguntas.
So that's part of what I hope you will do this day and for the students next week also, is take advantage of this time, because our lives are so busy and fast sometimes we don't take the time to stop and think about what our process is and what we're learning.
Por eso es importante de que este fin de semana, el próximo día, el próximo fin de semana, nosotros como grupo y los estudiantes tomen un tiempo para reflejar de lo que están haciendo y de algunas preguntas que ya tienen.
So as we move into this next section, I didn't have this earlier. This is a sign-up sheet, so if you could please all sign on this, that would be great.
Vamos a pasar una lista para que firmen y se apunten. Por favor, todos se apunten para que nos ayude con nuestra colección de datos.
So the next section is on skills that you can learn, including this thing called habits of mind. So Tim and Dr. Person are going to lead us in this session. I'll turn it over to you.
En nuestra siguiente sesión vamos a hablar de los hábitos de la mentalidad que les pueden ayudar a aprender nuevos skills. Can't think of the word skills. Pero nos pueden ayudar a aprender para cómo manejar la educación y cómo manejar los hábitos de que nos ayudan a mejorar y continuar en nuestra educación.
Hello, my name is Tim. I am a graduate student at Cal State University Fullerton. I am studying psychology, and I'm doing a presentation here with Dr. Person. A little bit about myself. I'm going to give you my elevator pitch here. I was born and raised in Riverside. I went to school in Cal State San Bernardino, and I hope that in the future I can become a professor in psychology.
Tim es un estudiante de posgrado en la escuela Universidad Estatal de California en Fullerton. Él es un residente de la ciudad de Riverside y en el futuro quiere ser un profesor en psicología.
Today we're going to be talking about habits of mind. These are almost good habits that we develop that have to do with critical thinking and how we approach different situations as we continue our journey into college.
Hoy vamos a hablar de los hábitos de la mente. Estos hábitos son hábitos que podemos crecer y expandir, que nos pueden ayudar con nuestro pensamiento crítico. Okay, que nos pueden ayudar con nuestro pensamiento crítico sobre varias situaciones.
So why would we want to learn these good habits? Well, here's a list of reasons that they help with. So as we respond to new challenges and we continue doing good behaviors, then they start to become habits. And the habits are based on critical thinking. Sometimes we have good habits, or sometimes we have bad habits, but all in all, they affect the outcomes of the way we interact with situations.
Los hábitos de la mente pueden ser buenos o pueden ser malos. Lo que queremos es establecer buenos hábitos de la mente que nos pueden ayudar a pensar más críticamente. Estos pueden ayudarnos a responder a cuando estamos batallando con algo, a tener para tener mejores resultados al pensar de nuestros problemas y cómo solucionar esos.
So I guess just to start off, can you give me an example of what you think is a good habit?
Para empezar, ¿me pueden dar un ejemplo de lo que ustedes piensan es un buen hábito?
Sleeping early.
Sleeping early. Why do you think sleeping early is helpful?
Because then you'll wake up refreshed.
Waking up refreshed.
You're ready for the day.
Ready for the day, okay. Anyone else have any other good habits that you can think of?
Managing your time.
Managing your time, that's a good one. We're going to talk about that one too. Why do you think it's good to manage your time?
Because if you don't manage your time efficiently, you might get stressed, or you might end up having too much on your plate. So if you schedule it evenly, it'll be better for yourself and your health.
You get too stressed, right? It gets, when you organize things, it makes it a little bit better, right?
Tim pregunta ¿cuáles son buenos hábitos o cuáles hábitos ustedes reconocen? Y él dice que el dormir temprano es algo que nos puede ayudar porque nos podemos sentir más refrescados. Y ella dice
Managing your time.
que manejar su tiempo efectivamente es algo que nos puede ayudar porque podemos... repeat what you said?
Because if you don't manage your time efficiently, you're gonna get too stressed and you're gonna end up hurting yourself.
Porque el no poder manejar el tiempo efectivamente puede causar más estrés, así de que sería bueno tener un hábito de manejar su tiempo un poco mejor.
So, as we said here, one of them we're going to talk about. Some of them, there are other habits that we haven't identified, but we're going to talk about 12 very common habits that we know are very good for us throughout college.
Hoy vamos a aplicar de 12 hábitos de mente que sabemos que son muy buenos para apoyarnos en el colegio.
So here are 12 habits of mind that we have identified through scientific research. And we're just going to briefly go through all of these just to familiarize you with it. So the first one is accepting myself. Sometimes in situations in our lives, we get people telling us that we're failures. Sometimes we mess up an assignment, and then we feel like we're permanently a failure, but we're not. Sometimes we feel like we're useless, but the truth is that we're not. And a good habit to have is accepting yourselves in the face of failure so that you can succeed in later situations.
Aquí tenemos 12 de los hábitos que vamos a mencionar. El primero es aceptarse a sí mismo. Hay veces que se nos hace difícil aceptar que hemos sido derrotados a través de cualquier cosa. Y tenemos que estar seguros de nosotros y aceptar que es posible que vamos a fallar, que no vamos a suceder todo el tiempo, que no vamos a ganar siempre, ¿verdad? Entonces está bien que hay veces yo no pueda alcanzar a mi meta, pero yo tengo que reconocer que yo acepto que no alcancé mi meta, pero puedo de todos modos continuar de alguna otra forma.
A second habit is taking risks. And when I say taking risks, I don't mean irresponsible risks and do something that can endanger your life. I'm talking about risks when, for example, if someone tells you to go perform something on stage that could look very good on your resume, look good for your career, but you might be afraid to do so because you get a lot of stage fright or something like that. I encourage you to take those risks and get in the habit of taking responsible risks, so then knowing that you have the higher likelihood of being successful through that.
El segundo hábito que es bueno es de tomar riesgos. No estoy hablando de riesgos irresponsables, sino riesgos de que hay veces que nos viene una oportunidad y uno dice, no, pues yo soy muy tímido, no puedo estar allá presentando. Eso es no tomar ese riesgo de presentar. Entonces lo que uno debe de hacer es aceptar que hay que tomar riesgos porque hay veces que nos vienen las oportunidades y si no las tomamos no podemos avanzar y continuar a crecer.
A third one is being independent. A lot of times we feel that the other people's opinions can influence how we make our own decisions. I encourage you to be independent of those opinions of other people. Know that you are your own person and you can make your own decisions and you can determine your own outcomes.
El tercero es ser independiente. Hay veces que dejamos que las opiniones de otros influyan cómo manejamos nuestras vidas, ¿verdad? Entonces tenemos que saber que debemos de ser independientes y tomar los riesgos porque aunque nos den opiniones de otra gente, uno debe de ser el que decide cómo va a proceder.
So one of the things that comes with independence is the separation from your significant others and your family as you're doing your work. So we're going to pull your support people out right now and go into another room and have a conversation with them while you work through the rest of the habits of Yvonne. Yvonne's going to be there.
Y uno de los pedazos de ser independiente es de que hay veces que no puedes tener tu sistema de soporte ahí contigo, así de que vamos a sacar a los miembros que vinieron aquí para apoyarnos y vamos a tener otra conversación con las personas que están aquí para apoyar a sus hijos y vamos a continuar especialmente con los estudiantes.
Okay, number 4 is a habit of saying that I can do it. A lot of times we fear, sometimes we fear failure, we fear success, whatever it may be. But I want you to get in the habit of always telling yourself that you can do it. And you know this because whatever goal that you have, most likely someone has done it before. Most likely, so if you wanted to be, I think someone said they wanted to be a veterinarian. You wanted to be a veterinarian. There are plenty of veterinarians out there who have gone through school, all the school it takes, and have become that, established that career for themselves. So I want you to get in the habit of saying that you can do it. It is possible and not impossible for you. I guess we don't need that.
No.
Okay. So number 5 is giving effort. Sometimes we're gonna get into bad days, good days. We're gonna get into assignments that we don't necessarily like. Something that has nothing to do with our career goals. For example, I want to be a scientist, so sometimes I get assigned tasks that require creative artwork and stuff like that, and that's not really me. But no matter what it is, always try to give your 100% effort, because everything that you do is going to be a product of yourself, right? You're going to be having output of your work. Make sure it's 100%, and when people look at it, it's going to be your absolute best. Number 6 is working tough. It's related, but you realize that as you continue through your journey in college and even in the workforce, you have to do things that are not just out of your interest, but also completely boring. Sometimes what you have to do is punch in numbers all day. And it can be very tedious, very boring.
I'm a supervisor at work. He does that at work.
Sometimes I do that at work. But even though sometimes the workflow gets a little bit boring, we work tough. We bear through it because we know that the work is necessary. It's necessary for whatever reason it's being assigned, and it's also necessary for giving us experience for our career. Number 7, setting goals. There's no point in walking aimlessly throughout college and not having a clear goal, right? Your goal might even be to find another goal, but there's always an objective. We're going to talk about setting goals later on in the presentation, and we're going to do an exercise through it, but I just want to point out here that it's very important that you're constantly setting goals, long-term and all the short-term goals that get you to there. Number 8, managing time is what you said, right? Now when I say managing time, not just for all your work, manage time also for your play. Manage time for yourself too, making sure that there's enough time to complete all the assignments that you have to do, but also giving time for yourself. Sometimes you want to hang out with some friends, talk about very stressful things with your support group. Sometimes you just need to complain, and you just need to vent out to someone. Make time for that. Take a self-date, you know what I mean?
Treat yourself.
Number 9, being tolerant of others. Now, I also heard in the other room, a lot of you guys are going into college, right? Some of you are already in college. Now you're gonna realize some people are just gonna be intolerable. Some people are gonna have this opinion about a certain thing, and you're gonna completely disagree. Sometimes you're gonna think you're gonna think they're dumb, and sometimes you're gonna wonder how they got into college, right? You have to be tolerant of them. The idea is constantly being gracious towards other people, that they're not bad, they're just different. Okay? So let's be tolerant of other people.
And then there's always something you can learn from those people. So you might disagree on the issue at hand, right? But there might be something new that you'll learn from them. And that's really hard to do, but it's also really important for your success in college. Because you might even have professors that say things that you're like, I don't agree with you. Right? But you need to understand, well, what is the learning that I need to take from that? Even though I don't agree with you personally, what's the learning that I get from that experience?
Exactly. Number 10, playing by the rules. Now, a lot of times we see that sometimes we feel like a professor or a teacher or some higher authority is getting on our case way too much, and we feel like they're all against us, and we feel like all the academia is against us. So what do? We throw in the towel and we give up, and we're saying, I'm not having any of this. I'm better than this. I don't need any of this. I don't need any of your crap. You know? But the thing is, people who do that, people who just give up because people are stressing them out, they don't usually reach their goals. if you throw in the towel and you quit a class because a professor was giving you a hard time, then you don't pass the class. And then if you keep doing that, you're not going to graduate. So the thing is, people who play by the rules are more likely to graduate and go on with their careers. But an encouraging part of that is, once you establish that end goal of your career, then you get to make rules. You get to be the one who gets a say in how the rules are made. And then people have to listen to you. Number 11, thinking first. This has to do with being tolerant of others. Sometimes people are going to treat you badly, and so badly that we want to retaliate. You know, when someone starts talking smack about us, this is an example. Someone starts talking smack, what do you want to do? Talk smack about them back? Well, I don't know about that part. Remember, thinking first, okay? Remember, when people do treat us badly, I know it's really cliche, but think before we act. What is the best way to resolve this conflict with this person? A lot of times they just don't really know how you feel, and then something that you did, they misinterpreted it for something else, and then a lot of times communication fixes everything. So let's think about things before you act. Don't be impulsive, all right? That's the idea.
I think a lot of times, at least I know for the students that I've worked with, a lot of times it's like, either they're going through a really hard time, and so they're just like, I just want to feel pain, or I don't want to feel the anxiety about making decisions, so I'm just going to make the decision. Or I'm just going to do this because it's too hard to go through the process, right? And sometimes like the process is necessary for you to have a greater outcome. And so it requires a lot of thinking and sometimes a lot of talking to other people, sometimes feeling things you don't want to feel, right? But it allows you to make that better decision at the end.
Last one, number 12. Now, in my personal opinion, I think this is the most important one. As you pursue your career, you interact with different people, you're getting different challenges, different situations. Remember that we all have a social responsibility, right? It is our duty to be respectful of other people, to include other people who are different than us, and to try to be more understanding of where they come from, right? For example, if someone has a very, very liberal view of something that you believe in and goes against everything, and then they slander you, they want to, they come at you with very, everything about them is different from you. It's still our duty to respect them, include their opinion, not make them outcasts and not harm them in any way. Because if you do that, then communities just don't really operate correctly, don't they? People start getting outcasts, and then you get, I think that might be how we get bullies and stuff like that. But the idea is that it's our duty to have a responsibility as a person in society, as a person in our communities. So we're gonna try to go through some of the exercises to portray some of these habits. We can't get through all of them. But
Yeah. How many of you participated in this when you came to the field trip? You two?
You- okay.
You remember this presentation? Yes. Okay, so we might ask you two. Anybody else? Okay, we might ask you two to do something slightly different that can be a little bit more challenging. Okay? Or if you don't remember, then we'll just do it again. All right.
Okay. So we're gonna start off with some easy questions. How many of you know what this symbol represents? Snapchat. How many of you have a Snapchat? Everyone? How many of you
Everyone?
want to add?
How many of you want to add me? Tim needs friends, so
Okay,
that's what he
next.
came here for. That's what he came here for. You know, just to
No.
Sacramento.
So here's the next question. How many of you know what the state capital of California is?
Sacramento.
Sacramento, right? Do you guys know the answer to?
Yeah, we know the answer.
Yeah, okay, everyone knows.
All I-
Okay, do you know where in California is the capital?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The last presentation, no one knew where that was. But yeah, here's where the capital is. Very easy questions, right? Here's the next one. Can you name 3 UC schools?
UCLA,
Yeah.
UC Riverside,
Last time no one knew it.
UC San Diego.
You gotta make these up, right?
Sure, probably. UCLA.
Okay. Here, I hope you applied to all of them, right? But yeah, you guys are right. I hope you guys did Riverside. That's where I'm from.
This is the farthest.
Yeah, this is the part.
Davis.
Davis is a really pretty school though. I
Really nice,
just
right?
recently
I
visited.
think it's one of the largest campuses too.
Yeah,
Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah, Davis is the largest.
The largest campus, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. So these are the next questions. I put them on the same slide, but first question here. What are your greatest challenges as you explore all the avenues of college that are open to you?
do they talk to each other or do they just tell us?
You can just raise your hand or something.
Lack of funding because
Lack
we're low
of
income.
funding.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I feel like financial is a challenge, and also maybe not knowing like what career path I want to.
Okay.
It's just not too little, but it's just like, oh, I want to know.
Knowing your career, what you want. Okay.
I think it's, for me, it's more of the financial aspect because like you hear all these rumors where it's like, oh, they're gonna cut the funding to students from low income communities and stuff, and they're gonna cut all this, and like, they're gonna, but it's like, I can barely afford it as is.
Yeah.
So like financial, very big one, and not knowing your career path.
I think one of them is like polarization too, especially up north. There's so much polarization with different groups and
Like differing views, right?
views.
Yeah. Remember, be tolerant, but people be tolerant.
My roommates.
But that's a reality, right? Like
Yeah.
I think in the climate that we're in, that's a reality, and those are sometimes conversations that you want to have. And so sometimes you want to have those conversations. People think very differently, and so that might impede your growth, right? And that's something to be really concerned about. That's real. Yeah.
And another could be like like if you say you're undecided and you decide to do you pick your major, and sometimes you have to think, will I get a job in this major? So that's also a big challenge because you don't know if you're gonna have a job after you're done with college.
Yeah.
I know that was for sure like a factor for me because I grew up in a very low income family household, and like I went to college sure for the learning and getting to know folks, but a big reason I went to college was because I wanted a career. And so any decision I made was like, does it even get me a job? Is this like on the market? And I know that that's real.
Okay, so next question. I think that's supposed
What
to be what?
aspirations? Yeah.
What aspirations do you have for your career over the next 10 years? And if you don't know exactly what you're gonna go for yet, that's all right. But what you know now.
I wanna, hopefully in 10 years I'll be on my way to becoming an oncologist. That's all. I wanna specialize in cancer.
Okay.
That's what I want to see myself.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Sweet. Anyone else?
I mean, I don't really have like a specific plan. Whatever I do for the next 10 years, I hope that I'm like genuinely happy doing it.
Okay.
So then like it's not much of a burden. Like I really like that's what I'm going after.
Just being happy with your
Yeah,
career,
just
right?
being happy.
Okay. All right. Last question. Have you planned for how you will fiscally handle college?
You know what?
What does fiscally mean?
Money. Like managing money.
Oh, you plan to work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Studying.
It's one option. So
Okay. You two have been in this presentation before, right? So you've seen this exercise where we go over. A lot of people don't know what fiscally means. And the last time we did this, I asked this question, and people were like, "Yes," and "No," and then I was like, "All right, how?" And then no one knew how to answer it.
I mean, my school is like generous in their financial aid, so like I don't really have to pay that much. But for the portion that I do have to pay, I plan on doing work study, applying to scholarships. I have, I think, $5,000 that I'll probably be getting every year, and hopefully I think that's enough. And like the work study can pay for like books, supplies, money for going out, and
Okay,
all that.
so they talk to you about money a lot then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this exercise was, it was geared towards helping you to be more independent as a person and being able to take more risks. And it seems small, but asking a question like, "What does fiscally mean?" Actually gets challenging when you're in a classroom of maybe 300 people, right? 400 people, because professor's talking to all these people through his microphone, and then out in the back, it's like, "What's fiscally mean?" And And sometimes we don't ask questions like this, even though most people in the room probably don't know what it means. And the idea is, even though you might think that your friends are going to think you're silly or like less intelligent, just know that your career is your own, your learning is your own, your questions are also your own. Because the more questions we're going to ask, the more answers you're going to get.
How many of you feel comfortable asking questions like in your classroom? Just us.
How big are your classrooms right now?
Like 30.
Like 20.
Okay, so how big are classes in college? Some of them, not all of them. Some of them.
Some of them can be anywhere from 200 students to like giant lecture
It's a big
rooms hold
classroom.
like 500 students. And then you can have small discussions between 15 to 30 students, so it depends on your class.
But I work at a university, right? So I work at Cal State Fullerton, and a lot of times I know that students really struggle with asking questions, not because it's like, oh, it's not like I don't really care about the answer, and that's how sometimes it's perceived. But it's more like I don't want people to think I'm dumb, right? I don't want people to think I'm stupid. But I will tell you that the students that I engage with that go off and are amazing in their careers, that go off and get doctorates and master's degrees, are the students that are always at my door asking me questions, right? And I appreciate them because those are the students that I can actually have like an engaging conversation with. So it's not just like, let me do what Yvonne says, but let's have a discussion about this. Let's have a dialogue. And those are the students that really go off and really do well. And so I know that sometimes it feels like, I don't want to ask questions, but something so basic like that is so critical for you in college. It's so critical. So I think like now we have the opportunity to like not even have to engage with people, right? So you can ask questions via email, or you can do it like via, your portal. So once you start school, like you can message them with some type of online system that they have for the school. So there's so many opportunities for people that are a little less, a little more shy and don't want to like raise your hand in a group of 500 students. There's other ways to do it. You just have to find out like what works for you, right? What is that?
Office hours.
Office hours,
Yeah,
yeah. And like
another
some
thing too.
professors are cool. Like some professors will give you their social media information or even their cell phone numbers. Say, hey, text me, right? So like when they do that, that's not all the professors. So like really take advantage of that because not all professors are willing to do that for you.
Yeah. Office hours, I've seen too many times get scared of going to office hours. They're going to think I'm so dumb, and then they're going to fail me for some reason, even though they're supposed to be teaching you. So don't be afraid.
Professors are just people like you. Like Dr. Fujimoto was one of my professors. And I was originally scared of him because I would go in there and he'd ask me a lot of He's scared, right? He would ask me a lot of questions, and I'm like, what does that mean? What's the correct answer? What are you looking for, right? But after a while, when I started visiting him, because I was in the graduate program where he taught, I built a personal relationship with him, and I could say that he's really supported me in my career and in my studies, and so that's somebody that I can go to now. But originally, I was scared of him because he had a doctorate, and I didn't know what he was going to say, and he had an office at a university, and I was like, oh, that's scary. And so, but I think ultimately what ended up happening is that we built a really great relationship, and now he's somebody I call my mentor. But I was scared, even though he's nice. I was scared.
Okay, so for this next exercise, I want you to talk amongst your tables here. Pick any one of these 4 questions and answer them amongst each other. Right, share with your group, your individual tables, what you think your opinion is on the topic.
You have to agree?
You don't have to agree.
What question do you guys want? The first one, I think yes.
I mean, if I have to,
Like you have to say
That's like,
yes, and maybe.
yeah.
Those are my answers.
I feel like the
Can money buy
there's
happiness?
difference between
Yes.
the theory and
Things like that.
Yeah.
yeah, this is like I thought
That's what I'm thinking though. It's like, do you mean the art style? Like,
because like using people
So like it would
do
be
graffiti
art
to
in the form of
express
graffiti
themselves,
and then
that's
graffiti
art.
as in vandalism.
yeah, the,
I think it just depends on where you put it.
Yeah, if you get selection or not.
then it's not graffiti no
But
more.
it does have a really good. It has a really good. Because I remember even when I was a child. Yeah, like when I went to med school, there was this guy that like had graffiti in his walls. it was from like my friend's house. And I was like, and like because I was like falling into the stigma, I was like, that's bad. And then he's like, permission though.
And like the gels are on top of
In my head, I'm
my
like, he's like, okay, is it permission? Like what? Like, so like, yeah, I was thinking about
Yeah, like when my dad's relatives, when you used to go to the house, she had like a whole entire like her like driveway, the brick was fully drawn on. Or do you consider yourself an adult? I mean, like the age?
I feel like yes, but
Yes.
it's the right way.
But in some aspects you wish you aren't because you don't know. You haven't experienced, like
Alright, one
some
more
of
minute,
us are
guys.
further going out to college. We haven't experienced a lot of independency. So in that sense, no, because you haven't truly lived on your own or experienced things yourself. You always had your like parents or something with you.
We're in that tipping.
Well, you, yeah.
I have my apartment, I have my groceries, I'm working, I schedule your appointments.
Why switch around?
Like, when you're able to, like, that's why I consider myself an adult.
And travel alone.
I consider myself an adult. I have to do all the paperwork with my parents. Probably when I start college, I'm going to start doing their taxes too, so I don't have to pay. I consider myself an adult.
We're in that tipping point where you're too young to do something, too old to do the other thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's like I'm an adult, but there's other people that are more adults.
I know. They told me that too. I was just like,
Yeah, like money, like I feel like money buys happiness to a certain
Alright, folks.
I read a recent
Who cares? You guys get enough discussion amongst your tables? Alright, so would any of you like to share what you thought? Or, and also the question that you chose.
We did all four.
Yeah, we did all four too.
Oh, you guys did all of them? Okay, let's start with the first one. Does technology isolate us from one another?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah? Does anybody think no? You thought
What
no?
he was saying was that, oh, what was
I mean, okay, it does if used incorrectly,
Okay.
but in a way it kind of brings us more together, because even though like let's say somebody, like a lot of us are going apart from one another,
Yeah.
like we're all going to different colleges, and this is one aspect of staying together, like through texting, Skype, Instagram. It's one way to keep like, oh, I'm still part of their life.
Okay.
They haven't forgotten about me.
So
Okay.
he
Pretty
said
good.
that, and then I said that, yeah, it has its benefits, but then again, people, they don't use it correctly. Sometimes they'll be with people and they'll be on the phone. Like, you should live in the moment. And I agree with him, but in the same way, it does isolate us from one another because we're abusing it. And
Okay. Okay. So it really depends how you use it. That's what you guys are getting at. Second question, can money buy happiness?
Yeah.
You guys.
I think to some certain extent, because even though if you have all this money, you can spend it on whatever you have, but if it's depending on like your career, like you pick the career that gives you a lot of money, are you really going to be happy with that career in later in life? But because as of now, all you think about is money, but when you actually continue to do this career, are you actually going to be happy? Are you going to be wanting to go to work? Or you be like, oh, I don't want to go, so it depends. Yeah.
Okay.
there's actually studies that show that like a rich person is just as happy as a poor person.
Okay.
Research,
Ray,
like you.
you had a hand up?
Yeah, for my answer for like all of these are kind of like not completely, like yes, but not completely.
Yeah.
So kind of all
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, and like for example, like for money, I feel like when I see my parents, like when they're stressed out, it's about money, the lack of money, and so like I'm going into college and like I didn't get a full ride, so like the fact that I didn't get a full ride made me feel like stressed out because I have to think about like, oh, I need to apply to more scholarships, and like it's a lot more work, and like work that doesn't make you happy. So technically, like money does make you happy, but I feel like there's like a certain point where like if you have enough money, then something else can get you happiness. You just need to have like that kind of like minimum, so like you won't be stressing about like
Okay.
not having money.
Okay. Sure.
What we talked about was like, okay, it won't buy you happiness, but in a way, it's better to set on like no, like just like she's mentioning, no loans, rather cry in a nice car.
Okay, it's pretty convenient, right?
Yeah, I'd rather be.
It facilitates.
Yeah.
Definitely helps. Okay. All right. Well, as you can see, a lot of the answers to this question, what I'm seeing is it's kind of true, or it depends on how you use it. A lot of times, right?
But I do want to make an observation that once we asked you all, like there was like a certain yes or no answer, and then there was an explanation, right? But everybody immediately had their own opinion. And you don't have an explanation for it. It wasn't in a gray area. Initially, everyone had yes or no. So think about what that means.
So, we went through that. So, how did you handle these situations? I saw that you guys almost compromised, right? You saw what other people were saying, and then you almost took it with what you were saying, and then you guys came to this conclusion of it kind of depends, right?
But when somebody said something that you didn't agree with, how did you address it?
Talk it through.
Do we do that all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Oh wait, what?
Well, I need a shout. You need to be my role model then, right?
That's all fine, something. You need to hear someone out and then.
And how did you handle those differences? Like,
I guess is what you do is like you're like I agree, however, when you say yours, so you kind of like try to meet them at a point where you both can agree on it, but then still give your honest opinion.
You have to recognize what the other person is saying and then you say what you want to say.
so what about if you didn't agree at all though? Like, what if someone was like, money can buy happiness and that's that? Like,
Well,
if I had more money, I'd be happy. Like, for example, that's my opinion right now.
They're not, well, like let's say if you had that opinion, they're not being open-minded to my opinion. So it just takes two to make,
Well,
it takes two to have like a good conversation.
but what if I don't want to compromise? Like,
Then
I respect your opinion, but you're wrong now.
so you say bye.
yeah, I say bye.
So what happens when you say bye to me?
You say bye, and you give your opinion to yourself.
No. But what I'm saying is, there's also an opportunity for you not to learn from me, right? Because the reality is that people in your classroom are going to have distinctly different opinions than you, that are very set in their ways. And these are going to be people you work with in your career, these are people in your classroom. That's not my answer to that question, but I'm just playing devil's advocate, right? Is that there's something that you miss when you say, bye, I'm done with you. But that is naturally our response. And I'm not saying that I do that all the time. Yeah.
Like for my family, when we have, because we're just people who we could like compromise with, we would perhaps perhaps you disagree with me or my family. We give a situation in a way that they'll understand it, even though they might not agree. Like, okay, we understand you don't agree, but just take what I'm saying. Just think of this example. What would you do in this situation? And then they start to understand it a little bit better. But then again, there are some people who are just like, bye, I don't want to deal with you.
But if you had a common person, then we'll go to Gabby. I can't see people's names. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Gabby. Jane. Okay.
So I was going to say that when you put in a situation for feeling disagree, and you just have to listen to each other's perspective and then check what you have to say. And at the end, if you still disagree, you just have to agree to disagree.
Yes, and that's the point. Like, you sometimes have to agree to disagree. Like, sometimes there's not going to be a compromise. Sometimes it's not going to be like we come to a middle ground. But you have to understand that that's somebody else's reality. So my reality is money can buy happiness. Your reality is money can aid in getting some happiness, but it's not completely there, right? And now this is something that's really basic, but in the workplace, you're going to have people that are going to say, no, what you're doing is not the way that it needs to get done, and you'll continue to do it because that's what you want, right? And so you have to understand that people have very different realities, and people aren't always going to agree, but you need to understand, well, I understand how for Yvonne that might be true. Yvonne grew up in a very poor community, so for her, money can buy happiness, right? That's her opinion. There's a reason for her having that opinion, and that opinion is true for me. It's not true to you, but it's true for me, right? And so when critically thinking, you have to also think about that people are just not going to agree sometimes, but that you can learn from that because then you get to understand how people work and operate differently than you. They don't have the same reality as you. They didn't come from the same community as you. They don't have the same values as you. So that's just going to have to be how it is.
Yeah, so
Did you wanna add
that goes
anything,
on to what we were talking about. The 12th habit of mind, social responsibility. I argue is one of the most important habits. You can't just go around getting in arguments and disagreeing with everyone, right? So we agree to disagree. So, are we running out of time?
I think we still have some time.
Okay, so I have here a worksheet. Let's see. So another important thing to take is the idea of accepting oneself, right? Accepting myself, that I can do it, that it's not that scary, right? So this is a character, and I know it's a guy, and we're not all guys, but I couldn't fit both guys and girls on it. So, imagine this person is you going off to a university, right? This is the journey that is, the road's probably a lot longer than that, but it's a long road to get to your career. It's going to come with its challenges. It's going to come with its rewards. What I want you to do is write in the think bubble, or if you don't have space in the bubble, on the side of it, positive things that he can say or she can say when encountering different situations, different challenges. For example, when you have a really, really stressful professor, it's just giving you more assignments that you need, you know? Or when you're, when you're working, like we were talking about earlier, when you're working with people who might disagree with you, and then you're very different, you butt heads a lot, but you have to work with them. How do you motivate yourself to go through this? And then also just, to play devil's advocate, what are some negative things you can say that will hinder your walk there? And I know it's very cartoonish and it seems like maybe a childish worksheet, but it's really relevant to the things we encounter in everyday situations. So if you think of any, just write down 3 things that are positive and 3 things that are negative that a person might say. I guess the biggest challenge was the money thing. When you feel like you can no longer afford school, what are some things you can tell yourself to motivate yourself? If you want to work and then you don't want to work anymore, positive and negative things you can say. That's why I asked
Where do you go?
As in, you feel like you're the only one who isn't cut out to be in school. So actually I noticed that in my classes a lot of us feel that way, especially in graduate school, because but when we notice that when we talk to more people, everyone in the room is feeling the exact same thing.
Oh, okay. So like we're not alone.
We're almost everybody. I want to say 95% of people experience it when they get into a really good university. And they feel like, man, all the people are smart. You're just as good. You got into that program. You're just as good as they are. And they might even be thinking the same thing. They're probably thinking the same thing. A lot of times, first day of class, we share that opening class. We're like, yeah, I felt that too. Yeah. Hope that helps.
Everybody, real quick, this is Stacia.
Hello, how are you all?
She's going to be taking pictures throughout today just to document the experience and for the AT&T grant. So if you see her taking pictures, just smile.
Yes, and also, I don't know if you received the email from me about the scholarship info, the vendor data form. No?
Oh, wait, the one on the station to fill out?
Oh, yeah.
Like the PDF. So next Saturday, you all will be filling that out and providing proof of verification of your enrollment, and we'll take care of it next Saturday.
Oh, the scholarship person. I was like, why are all your eyes like, hi, Stacia? I was like, I didn't get that treatment.
They're like,
Scholarship, you say? Yeah, you got that.
no,
It's the one that has like the
She's
two
under scholarship. I hope there's somewhere.
are you a second year? Did you receive the scholarship? These are the ones that received the scholarship last fall 16.
You received it 2 years ago or this past fall?
Oh, okay.
You should have gotten an email from her.
I emailed, but I never got a
So whatever you put on the application is what we sent with that
But
information.
did you
So
fill out the forms?
at the end of the day,
look, this
Stacia
is
can
the
get your
vendor
contact
data form
information if it's
that's
different,
needed.
and she can forward it out to you. But we'll talk about that later.
Oh,
Let me
yeah.
finish the
That's
presentation.
what it says.
Because I want to eat, and so we have about 5 to 10 minutes until your parents are done.
How are you?
So,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for you all.
I emailed.
I know we're
FYI, that is on.
Oh. I see.
Okay, are we all done with that worksheet? Okay. Alright, because I'm hungry.
The stinky
I
positive.
smell the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
And we can do the rest of it at some other point.
Okay, I'll try to speed it up.
The stinky.
All right,
stinky.
you guys need more
stinky.
time? You guys got a few things written down?
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the negative things. What are some negative things someone might say? Anybody care to share?
Ooh,
Not good enough.
Loads are getting.
you suck.
Say again?
You suck.
You suck.
Like when you tell yourself, you're
Okay.
like, oh, you suck.
Okay.
Like, why would you tell yourself you suck in the terms of not having the financial? Like,
Yeah.
like you could have gotten more scholarships, kind of thing? Is that what you would maybe told
Yeah.
yourself? Okay.
Okay.
And like you should possibly say, oh, I should just give up. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I should just quit now before I go into deeper into the
Okay.
level.
Telling yourself to quit early.
Like, what's the point? Like, I know, like, there's teachers, well, I know, like, a few teachers from my high school, old high school, like, they're still trying to pay off, like, college debt. It's just like, damn, you went to all that school just to, like, or you can still be paying your college tuition, like, that's damn.
Struggle is real.
All right.
Another one.
Okay.
When you tell yourself to ignore the problem, and you're like, it'll go away, it'll fix itself by itself, but like you don't like take any actions to fix it yourself. You're like, it'll work itself out.
Okay. So just avoiding it, being a little passive.
Say what?
Yeah. That one's actually probably more common.
That isn't real
Tell
value.
yourself that you're not as qualified as the other students at the school.
The imposter syndrome, right?
Whoa.
Like maybe I'm not worthy of this. Like why was I granted this opportunity? Maybe I shouldn't do it anymore. Okay.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about things that you're not going to say to yourself, right? What are some things that you are going to say to yourself, the positive things?
Sometimes loans are worth it. It's an investment in your education.
Okay, it's a good investment. Yeah.
You get what you put in.
You get what you put in. Yeah, I like that one.
Just basically telling yourself to breathe, like it's okay.
Okay,
Just
take a breather,
relax.
relax a little bit. You gotta do that every day.
eyes on the prize. Be like, it'll be worth it in the end. Like
Yeah.
once you get through everything, it's like at the end you'll be
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, keeping at that goal, right? So yeah, you guys all more or less have a long-term goal, right? That's towards the end of college, perhaps even further. So on the back of your worksheet,
Wait. So there's a question there that says, does thinking positively guarantee you success?
oh,
No. Yes. No. Yes.
It helps, but
It helps.
But there's more to it. Like you need to put in the work. You need to like. It's positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you also got to put in the work. So you can. So what research actually says about students, they did a lot of research and they looked at college students and they said the students who just thought positively, yes, it had to be connected to action. So it couldn't just be like, I'm just gonna really just think really positive about my test and I'm gonna get an A, right? So it has to be combined with action. But that those students just having that mind frame of being positive helped them succeed. So they didn't have to do anything else. So when you have something that's really hard, you can do something like, I'm just gonna procrastinate and put it off, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it later because it's hard, and I don't like doing things that I'm not good at, so I'm just gonna do it later because it's hard. Or you can say, this is hard. I need to go to my office hours, I need to create a study group, I need to hit up all the people that I met at Leadership Development Institute and see what they think, right? You're gonna take the action to build that support. So somebody who thinks positively will find that support, somebody who thinks negatively will procrastinate. And so that's the difference. That when you think positively, that usually there's action connected to it. When you think negatively, there's usually no action connected to it. So just thinking positively about the situation helps you find ways to like have action opposed to saying, I'm just gonna sit here and feel bad for myself. Or I'm just gonna sit here and be like, this is horrible, and then you just sit there and you pretend like it doesn't exist and you don't take action. So those are the two key differences. So yeah, thinking positive isn't gonna get you everywhere, but it will get you somewhere. It'll help you find the resources that you need.
yeah. That's the idea. It motivates you, gives you momentum towards your career, but you still got to choose direction, stuff like that. So on the back of your worksheets, this is the last exercise I guess we're going to go over. So like I said before, an important thing to do is set goals. Now a lot of times people set goals that are way too broad and then they don't think about the steps in between. They say things like, I want to make a lot of money. I want to write a book. You know, they say things like, I want to be a doctor. But you gotta understand that there are a lot of steps in between you and that goal. So what we're gonna do here is something called the SMART goal. And this is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And there are descriptions to each of these on your worksheet. So research also shows that people who think of only the long-term goals typically don't reach them as much as people who think of the short-term goals. And this is because they also visualize themselves doing these things. They visualize themselves, you know, trying to apply for different jobs so that later on they can make more money. They visualize themselves reading 3 chapters every week, so then they start reading more books. And then before you know it, you read a lot of books. Before you know it, you're gonna write a book. So one thing we're gonna do, just think of one goal that you have. You know,
Short-term goal.
it's a short-term goal, but try to fulfill all of the acronyms here. Is it specific? What is exactly it is you're trying to do? Are you trying to make more money? Well, for example, someone says, I want to go to college. Well, a specific goal could be, I'm going to apply to this specific university before the deadline.
Right. So they've already done that. So something that is
This is
more
an example.
connected to you all would be like maybe all of you talked about wanting to get more scholarships, right? So maybe it'll just be like, I'm going to look online, do a search for scholarships that might be connected to me, right? And create timelines for what that might look like. It doesn't have to be connected to the finances. I know that's the thing that we talked about the most, but any one goal that you think the next 6 months as you transition into college, what's one goal and one thing you can work on that will help you feel better, right? Feel like you're more prepared to go into college.
I'm going to practice writing once a week until I go to college to improve my writing skills. Or I'm going to make sure I read at least 2 books before I go to college. Get used to reading a lot in a short period of time.
Yes.
Because you will read 200 to 400 to 600 pages a week.
When you look at it's fine.
And then the other acronyms, is it measurable? Don't just say very broad goals that says, I want more of this, or something like that. Don't say, I want more money. Give yourself a measurable, a measure that will show how much you've attained, how much you've reached that goal, how closer you are to it, how much more you need to go, things like that. Is it attainable? Is this goal that you have even possible? For example, if you're saying right now that you want to jump straight to being a doctor, well, first you got to understand that first you need to get your bachelor's degree to become a doctor. You have to get a graduate degree to become a doctor. So is it possible in the short term? Another thing is it relevant? Is the short-term goal relevant to your long-term goal? Otherwise, it's not really related to your general career. The last one is timely. Set yourself a deadline so that you know that you have to complete it before this time. So that's the last of the exercises I had today.
We gotta finish that work.
I hope that you can get in the habit of using all these habits of mind and knowing that they'll help you propel you towards your career.
That's one thing I want to say.
It was an incredible presentation.
Good job.
Only for 3 weeks though.
Okay, so how many of you learned something from this session you were just in? At least one thing that you're going to take and take back, right, and use. All right, let's just real quick go around the room. What did you learn that you're going to be able to apply? Brian.
I learned that sometimes short-term goals are the ones you need right now, and if you keep your heads up in the clouds thinking about, 10 years into the future, it's not going to help you right now. So you got to get there, and you got to get there like one step at a time.
Very good. Great. What about
Can
you?
you repeat the question? Sorry.
What's that?
Can you repeat the question?
What's one thing you're taking from this session that's going to help you? Can I come back to you?
Yeah.
All right. What about you?
I like how this was provided for us because before I always had problems like meeting goals that I had for myself, and this I feel like it makes it a lot easier to meet those goals.
Good.
So I'm really happy about this.
All right. It's great to be smart about goal setting. Otherwise, you never reach them.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of similar to Brian and Valerie that even when I set a goal, even how some people might do it quicker than others, it's okay for me to do it a little longer as long as I do it as best as I can.
Good.
So I'm like, okay.
Good. Did you all hear that? That's so important. On your time, in your way, and what works for you. Doesn't matter if the person ahead of you can get it done in an hour and it takes you 2 hours. What matters is getting it done. Very good. All right, what about over here? One thing you've learned. Start here. One thing you've learned. We're running out of time. Food's over.
Is that about the goals that we have today? We have to have confidence in ourselves that whatever we feel like we can't allow the success of others to affect the way we see ourselves or what we're capable of doing.
Very good. Their success should be something that you should celebrate, but it shouldn't deter from you also being able to feel good about yourself and where you are. Okay. More positive mindset. I like that. And that can grow. Yeah, very good. Yes.
I enjoyed how we talked about how we're going to encounter people that have completely different opinions as us, but we should be open-minded and listen to them and respectfully,
Very good. Very good. And you're okay with holding on to your own or letting them go if you're convinced that might be a better way to think, right? All right? Yeah. You go hesitant saying right to that. Okay. Can you all hear her? Speak a little bit louder.
What stuck with me was when we were talking about getting intimidated by others. Tim said it was your career's like what you need. It's your own classes you take. It's your own, so we shouldn't really be worried about what others do.
That's right. Very good. All right, sir.
What I learned is stop emphasizing on the long term and take a better look at the short term.
There you go. Be where you are and enjoy where you are. Good.
I like the 12 habits.
Okay.
Because I guess they allow you to like accept yourself and grow as a person, and like you have to be living positive, so you know.
Very good. All right. So positivity, confidence, being able to celebrate other successes, thinking short term as well as long, focusing on short but not forgetting the long, right? Feeling confident. One thing I want to tell you too is that when you're in college, this has nothing to do with this directly, but it does. It has everything to do with it. When you make decisions that are major, like courses that you're going to take, courses that you're going to stay in or drop or whatever, don't do those without consulting the right person. Because otherwise, those long-term goals will become even longer, right? And you don't want to be in undergraduate school for 10 years, right? You want to be able to get on with your life. But if you don't make good decisions around managing your academics, you can make decisions that can end up hurting you in the short run and in the long run. So when you think about a class, changing a class or changing your major or making any kind of shift based on different than the track that you were on, what are you going to do? Somebody's supposed to be answering me though. You make a change, what are you going to do before you make the change? Consult, not just your friends. There you go. Consult the right person, because your peers will tell you, oh yeah, you don't need that class, and guess what? It'll be the class that you're there taking the extra semester because you listen to your friends. All right? So all of that combined, it's probably one of the good habits. It should be up here either way. It should be consulting appropriate people for good advice. So your peers are great for like telling you where the best parties are and all that stuff, but not for your academic. All right? Advisement stuff. Okay, let's give Tim a nice round of applause. What do you think? Is he on the right path? Can he be a professor someday?
Yeah.
All right. Good job, Tim. Okay, so I'm going to turn you back over to Dr. Fujimoto now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
So we're going to have lunch.